My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious It has begun!
The Enrichment Center is required to remind you that you will be baked, and then there will be cake.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
It's time for the week's latest news in tech, gaming, movies, TV, and all things geeky. Welcome to Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions.
Welcome, everybody, to Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions for November 22nd, 2014. I am, of course, your host, Adam Mickelson, and I am being joined by my wonderful panel on this week before Thanksgiving. First of all, I'm being joined by the one, the only, Aldo Gomez. How are we doing, Aldo?
I'm doing fantastic, Adam. You know, just kind of chilling, doing the gamer thing.
Exactly. We're doing the things that all geeks do. Just kicking back, relaxing, enjoying games, movies, whatever we want.
Yeah, it's been a good week.
All right. Good to hear. And then we're also being joined by the Shadow Blazer himself, Alex Short. How are we doing, Alex?
I'm doing quite well today, Adam.
I would think so, because we had a really great movie that we got to watch yesterday, and
Absolutely.
then you got to have a nice, relaxing Saturday before the impending storm that's going to happen to you next week.
Yep.
So for people who don't kind of get that reference, unfortunately, Alex, needs to work to pay the bills and have things like food. And so he unfortunately works retail, and next week is the worst time to work in retail.
Yeah. It's Black Friday, everybody.
It's Black Friday. Oh, man.
I mean, we don't do doorbuster sales, so more of the people come flooding in the afternoon. That's still going to be freaky.
Oh, jeez.
Riot shields at the ready, folks.
Yeah, and then we are also being joined by apparently a creepy dog. Otherwise known as Stephen Romney of Romney's Reviews. How are we doing, Romney?
Doing pretty good. Kind of nice and chill, just chilling here on the sand. Don't mind the people behind me. Then again, yeah, I don't know where to take this joke, so let's go back to the movies.
You're chilling out, relaxing, all cool by the pool.
We have 2 weeks of basically Romney trying to create an image that just stares into your soul.
Well, it's not me really creating them, it's Hirohiko Araki, so take it up with him.
That's true. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the tech portion of the podcast. First of all, we have quite a few stories to go into, and I did try to pick a couple of silly ones just to keep the flow going here, just mainly because there isn't a whole lot of news this week. Everything's prepping up for Black Friday, so the biggest news was like all the sales. Oh my gosh, you're getting a sale here, you're getting a sale there.
Well, yeah, sales and petitions, like people saying, oh, don't open on Black Friday, or like a lot of people petitioning a lot of stores to stay closed on Thanksgiving. I know that's been taking off on change.org.
No, the one thing that's irritated me is the people who were getting kicked out of Walmart because they wanted to put up lawn chairs just to see the chaos happen. And so it's like, and you don't get why you're getting kicked out.
You know what though? I did work. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I was working at Sears and GameStop simultaneously at the same time during Black Friday season.
Yeah.
And I had to open up for Sears, and yeah, you did see that. You did see people, like, it was chaos, and I was right at the front of it, and I was scared.
Yeah, I'm thankful that I never had to work on Black Friday. I've worked retail, but I've never had to work on Black Friday, and given all the horror stories that I've heard from other people who have, yeah. I'm just glad I never did.
I had to go straight from Sears. I had to go straight from there to GameStop on Black Friday. I had to park like 6 blocks away in order to get to my job.
Seriously.
I don't like Christmas music, and I don't like Black Friday because of that.
Yes. Although maybe I should bring up the story that should creep the just absolute crap out of Alex, just because it's a little bit closer to him. Did you actually hear this story, Alex, about the guy who got stuck in a Marshalls or in between the walls of a Marshalls for 3 days.
God. No, I didn't hear this story. What
Yeah,
happened?
it's absolutely crazy, man. Because apparently, I guess the guy was trying to rob the joint, and he fell through the roof and got caught in between the walls for 3 days.
Wow.
And so while he was banging on the walls trying to get somebody to listen to him, everybody thought it was like ghosts.
Then that must be why we have. You know, they say there's a ghost that haunts the building I'm in because apparently a murder happened there some years back. So perhaps all the thudding noises I hear every day is somebody stuck in between the walls.
Yeah, just watch when we tear open the walls in your store. It's just like a mass grave.
Allison shows up to work with a sledgehammer, ready to break down all the walls.
I was actually going to say Alex ought to show up with just dowsing rods. Be the store medium there.
He shows up with a Smash Brothers hammer.
Exactly. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the stories this week. So first of all, we have this one. Actually, I think Alex was the one that tracked it down, and I enjoyed it at least a little bit. And it's mainly because of what it refers to with a certain company that we've been giving a lot of flack to recently, especially with their certain E3 performance, or lack thereof. So apparently a ex-Ubisoft employee came out and talked about his work experience. And Alex, would you like to go into the details of all the stuff that he actually stated? Because I didn't know it.
Yeah. Let me pull up the article, actually.
Yeah, so I've got the article up. Let me just kind of go over this. So we've got a bunch of just scathing remarks. For example, I was in a meeting personally with Yves Guillemot, and I'm probably saying that wrong, who said
it's just Yves Guillemot.
Yves Guillemot said that he doesn't care about PC gamers because, and I quote, 90% are pirates anyway. That's after a direct question from a well-respected, well-paid programmer back in the late 2000s, asking why are our PC ports effing shit, pardon my French, so we outsourced it all to Eastern Europe. Wow.
Oh.
Seriously. 90% are pirates, huh? Well, I guess I'm part of the 10% because I've never pirated.
That's a pretty broad statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say I've never pirated, but yeah.
And then here's another quote for you. We work 50 to 70 hours per week. Anything above 37 is unpaid. I've seen guys shamed for leaving at 5 p.m. Shamed for leaving at 5 p.m. We had to beg to have our deadline extended, or we would release a horrible, broken mess. To miss our deadline, we had to lose a few random workers.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously, Ubisoft. And you wonder why we're having problems buying your games.
And it's
or
not even
subscribing to your service.
And it's not even limited to just Ubisoft. This is actually quite a problem with a lot of game companies.
Oh yeah, it's
Absolutely.
Anybody who watches Extra Credits knows that the whole leaving at 5 p.m. tends to be a major taboo amongst a lot of the people who work in the games industry.
It's just absolutely bullcrap that this is the treatment that we get, especially from the AAA guys, because some of those people are working their butts off. And then they look at the indie gamers and the fact that the indie game developers don't have to deal with this because they're their own boss. And then some of them just leave and just do that. Because they're passionate about what they do, but they get torn apart for doing it.
So part of the thing, so when I used to work at a game studio as a tester, and I'm going to try to remain as vague as possible for this audience, when we were given overtime, mind you, I was just a tester, so I never really did any of the coding or anything like that.
Yeah.
But during the overtime season, I guess you could call it that, they were treated extremely well where I was working at, and they were given catering, so they didn't have to pay for lunch or extra food or anything like that. They were getting paid. You weren't allowed to be in there if you weren't getting paid, if you weren't on the clock. And it was one of those things where you also create a situation where how much money are you willing to put into the project that goes to your employees.
Which allows for somebody to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
You know, like I've heard companies like Blizzard implement something similar to that, where if you're passionate about what you're doing, they want you there. They want you to work the insane hours. I mean, some of them, while working on their latest builds for a game will just stick around and play it. Not just to test a build, but just because they're enjoying it. That's when you have something good going on at that studio. From what this is telling me, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I would never work there.
Yeah, one of the comments on the article is like particularly scathing in response to a lot of these quotes, saying this is what happens when you support an industry that tries to support yearly franchises, day one DLC, stuff like that.
Well, and here's the thing: is that we're talking about the biggest freaking culprit of them. I mean, Ubisoft has come out and stated, we are not going to create any new IPs. We're just going to keep pumping out what until it's done. They're going to continue pumping out Assassin's Creeds. Rayman, I think, is going to still get pumped out. I'm trying to think of some of the other properties. Watch Dogs is probably going to get that because I've heard it did moderately well. So every year, but at the same time, I appreciate that. But when you have a year's worth of time to develop these games, they're not going to be as stellar as, say, Assassin's Creed 2, which actually had some time put behind it.
And the thing, especially with that, is, I mean, the Assassin's Creed aren't getting, a 1 year time window. I think they're getting 2 because they have 2 different teams.
Yes, they do.
On the games. But even then, you're still cutting your resources in half.
Mm-hmm.
So it still isn't breaks even. It's still the same thing. But that's why that's why your first week of YouTube videos are people going, look at these glitches. Look at this very emotional cutscene where nobody has a face.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're trying to get it pumped out as fast as they can, and it's just the dinkiest crap ever. And then they sit there and wonder why the gaming community gets on their case about bugs and stuff like that. I mean, the biggest culprit obviously are the shooters, because I mean they do exactly what you just stated. Although they have Treyarch and they have Infinity Ward working on separate Call of Duty titles every year, so that they can get a game out every year. And then when you have stuff like Battlefield, where it comes out not finished at all, I mean, you're just asking for a fall. But yeah, overall, I mean, my opinion on this article is this guy. If this is how everybody at Ubisoft gets treated, I never want to work there, and I probably would stop buying the games. I mean, I'm an Assassin's Creed fan, and I think I said this. I was dissatisfied with 3. I don't know if I'd go to 4. I don't even know if I'm going to Unity, to be honest with you.
I haven't even touched Rogue, 4, or 3. I played 3 because I had to review it, and I didn't like it. I wasn't impressed. I want to say I'm intrigued by Unity, but it's a next-gen game, so I'm definitely not picking it up for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the other thing too is I played 3, and 3 was kind of laughable, if I can be perfectly honest. Because yes, historically it's somewhat accurate, but at the same time they did such things that just, I mean, the best example, spoilers for people who haven't played it, but statutory has run out on it. They actually put in the First Continental Congress an assassin and a Templar right next to each other and expected nothing to happen. Nothing? No, you guys are just going to get along. No, they haven't in any of the games. What possessed you?
So for me, my problem with 3, and I'm just going to keep it short to my one biggest problem, was it took away the exploration that I liked. Which isn't to say it didn't have any, because it had all the forest and woodland exploration you could do. But I liked the cities. I liked going into one of the big buildings and trying to figure out what its secret words and that type of thing. That's what I enjoyed. And they took that out and they replaced it with a forest that I didn't care for because...
Yeah, all the exploration stuff were in 2, it was all Italy. And so you had to go out and explore. There was really only one kind of open field area aside from your hub town.
Yeah.
But in 3, all that stuff was relegated off to the forests. And there were I wanted to go off and explore Philadelphia. I wanted to go and explore Boston, and they gave no incentive to do it.
If I want to hunt, I will go down to my local arcade and play some Deer Hunter.
Exactly. Or go play like a shooter like Area 51 or something.
Yeah. I'll go pick up a copy of Cabela's.
There you go.
Yeah, or maybe it's just a case of hey, Metal Gear Solid 3 was set in the forest. Let's do the same with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, no.
But Metal Gear Solid 3 did everything so well.
I know,
Because it wasn't
right?
developed in a year.
It's almost like it was making fun of Bond tropes and stuff like that.
Yeah, although there was some gameplay stuff with that game that was a bit weird, though. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
shooting was awkward.
Yes. I will admit, like, I love the story of 3, but the mechanics, especially like the healing and the camo mechanics, just threw me off.
I love the camera mechanics though. I mean, anyways.
I think they were implemented better in 4. But let's go ahead and get into the next story, because this one I kind of want to talk about, because I saw the video that Alex put. I think it was Alex that put it up.
I didn't
No, it was Aldo. I think Aldo.
It was me. I was looking it up.
I love
how you credit everybody but Romney till the end.
Yeah, there you go. Romney gets credit eventually, because he stares into my soul and makes sure that I give him that credit. So apparently, Tony Hawk got a very interesting invite over the week to go and try out a hoverboard.
What?
Yes. He wants to go try out a hoverboard. And I'm trying to remember the company that did it. I'm just bringing up the article right now. But, yeah, so Tony Hawk got brought in to be able to try out this hoverboard. I guess as kind of a forgiveness to the ride a little bit. And so he was able to get into a half pipe and mess around with it and could not do anything with it.
Well, given that the technology is still experimental, it's to be expected. I mean,
well, the fact that he was able to hover is a different thing.
I mean, the very most he was able to do was spin, and I'm not holding this against the developers at all. From what I could actually see, that's pretty spot on. It's just kind of funny, they brought in the expert, and there really is no such thing as expertise at this point, and expected him to just do wheelie. Like, I saw comments saying we expected him to do all these weird stunts, and it's just like, guys, he's used to a skateboard. He's not used to this setup.
Yeah, especially given that there was like no friction, and given just the weight of it, trying to do any of those tricks probably would have been really dangerous.
Exactly, and also just you could tell in the video he was thrown off by the whole thing. He did not know how to make this work, especially with the fact that there was no friction.
Yeah, like no friction. And I think it's kind of case that they told him to be crouched like that because I guess they figured if he was trying to go that fast while standing, he would have fell on his head. And so
it's one of those things where I had to watch the video a couple of times because I really thought they had bolted his feet down to the board. And they hadn't. Like, I could have sworn I saw somebody put on like a Velcro for him so that he couldn't get off the board. So at that point, he might not have had to worry about that. No, he was not anchored to that board at all. It could have flown off right underneath him.
Yeah, of course, being anchored probably would have made it more dangerous then, because if it's going that fast in an area with no friction...
That's a guaranteed face plant.
Face plant, head plant, it would not end well. And especially if you were to do any of the major skateboarding tricks, where you take it off the surface it has to be on in order to work, there's no guarantee it'll go back down the same way and work again.
Well, and the other problem is like this is set up with magnets, so one of the things I would be concerned about is does it have to reconfigure to the surface if you do that?
Yeah.
And that's kind of my worry with it. But I just love the fact that the comments just came out going, "Oh, Tony Hawk fails again." It's not a failure at all. I mean, I can't remember his name from Mythbusters. I think put it perfectly. This is research. This is a test. Be thankful that we're finally getting our Back to the Future inspired future, and we get hoverboards.
Yeah, the only difference is we have better fashion sense.
That's right. Yeah, we don't want the all pink hoverboard.
Well, that was because it was a hover scooter, but I'm meaning more like the weird future techie stuff in our clothing. I mean, a self-drying coat that would be nice.
The clothes inside out.
The accordion clothes.
Yeah.
Automatically.
But who wouldn't want self-drying clothes? Just tell me who wouldn't want that. Or power laces, which Nike did actually make a special power lace boot.
I was meaning more like the Biff 10 and like metal plate on the head thingy, having like the cybernetic stuff put along here. It's unapologetically 80s sci-fi.
Football.
Terminator. My gosh, that was absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, overall, just if people want to give their thoughts, I just thought it was a fine test. I thought Tony did as well as he could have done given the circumstances. This was not something in his element. He understands the skateboard and how that works. This is not, you can even tell, like, the speed of it was not what he wanted. And he was doing a skateboard, it was throwing him off. So overall, I'm not holding Tony at fault. I think he did just as well as he could have done. This is a great test of a hoverboard.
Yeah, and given that the project isn't completely funded on Kickstarter and they're still in the process of making it, I mean, so far it looks promising.
Yeah, I believe their goal. Yeah, it's their goal is to set out to raise $250,000 for this. So let me actually see if we can get a progress update for it. Let's see. Oh, they've actually gone over at this point. They've got 2,900 backers and $476,000. So they're over their $250,000 goal. Very nice. We're gonna get hoverboards, I think.
Yeah, endorsement from Tony Hawk will do that.
Exactly. So good on you, Tony. I think that worked just fine. What do you guys think?
All I can think is, what, Tony Hawk? He's still relevant?
It's the same thing.
He's like the 90s when skateboarding was like everywhere and kids wore their hats backwards and all sorts of other weird 90s trends that I can still remember. And
dude, you fucking stilts, bruh? Yeah.
I think we can attribute this to the return of Surge.
Exactly.
It all started with the return of Surge.
Well, probably not just the return of Surge. I mean, a lot of people were quick to point out that this was like they're saying, oh yeah, this is as an apology to that Funny or Die sketch where they had Tony Hawk and Christopher Lloyd in a commercial for a hoverboard that turned out to be fake.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know they did that.
I didn't know that either.
It's right in the headline of the article I posted.
Oh, really? Let's see.
Yeah, that's why it says to make up for that last time was because Funny or Die hired him for a sketch where they made a real hoverboard commercial, but they didn't show that it was from Funny or Die. It was like all hidden. They hyped up, made people think it was real. Then the following day, they had Christopher Lloyd doing an apology video.
Oh.
Was that like an April Fool's joke that just went bad?
Just run with it. Seriously. Christopher, you didn't need to do that.
Again, the apology video was scripted. This was like part of the gag.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like he did an actual apology video. It was all scripted. It was just part of the same gag.
Yeah.
And you disappeared.
We should So when they come over for Salt Lake Comic Con, because Christopher Lloyd's coming back for FanX in January.
Nice.
We should try and see if we can ask him that in a Q&A about that video.
Are you presenting an idea for me, Aldo? Are you doing
it? Yes.
And we're gonna have to see if we can make that work.
Geeks assemble.
Exactly. I'm gonna use my Avengers card right now and send out the Geeks assemble.
You're just gonna blow your conch shell and say we all meet up in your house.
Awesome.
Geeks assemble.
Exactly. There you go. So let's go ahead and get into the next story here. So this is going to be our Nintendo Talk segment because I love the people that are just like,
we're always going to have Nintendo Talk.
I can't avoid it. Nintendo gets brought up in the tech. I don't know how I do it, but I did find a very interesting article from an interview of Sakurai, basically explaining to people why, because he's been getting a little bit of flack for this, why Ridley is kind of an environmental hazard instead of an actual playable character in the new Smash Brothers. And I will admit that his argument is a little compelling. And the argument is basically, for people who have not read the story, is that if you wanted to make Ridley a character, you'd have to cut him down. You'd have to make him shrink a little bit. You'd have to bring down his wings. And therefore, one of the biggest things that Ridley has going for him is that he's huge and intimidating. And so it's not as easy to bring him into the game as possible. Do I buy it completely? Probably not. I think you could do it at some point, but I get why Sakurai didn't want to do it for this one. And they just wanted to make him an environmental hazard that you can bring to your control. So at that point, I'm willing to let that slide, but I think next generation, when they do the next Smash Brothers, I want them to figure it out. I want them to say, let's make Ridley into a character.
Yeah, looking at it, it just appears it's not so much just it's pretty much they're left with the choice of either having to cut him down to size or risk having him be a completely broken character, throwing off the balance of the game.
Exactly.
That's kind of the two things they were dealing with. And I can kind of understand why they're very reluctant to try to include Ridley as a playable fighter. But Ridley is pretty much like the only clear Metroid villain that most people can really think of, not unless they want to try creating a clone character and have it be Saix.
I mean, I agree with that completely. And here's the thing too, like if that's your entire argument, then why is Ganondorf in it? Because then at that point you should have made him an environmental hazard and make him turn into Ganon and just destroy us all, kind of thing. Yeah, so at that point,
yeah, why they brought him back in this game, because they were like saying, "Oh, we're going to get rid of the clone characters," and yet this game has clone characters. I don't get it.
See, and my problem isn't even so much with the clone characters, because when I play Smash, between Marth and Lucina, I will actually choose Lucina, because I feel like I'm better with her for some reason. But characters like Dark Pit, where he's saying Ridley wouldn't be true to his character if they cut him down or whatever. Dark Pit isn't true to his character. He's using all of regular Pit's moves and attacks and items, and he doesn't have anything that's unique to him.
Yeah,
with the exception of like his final smash. But I mean, he has like this gun, he has like this lance gun thing that he uses in his game in whatever the Pit's last game was.
Rising.
Uprising.
Yeah. And in the game in the Smash Brothers, it's nowhere to be found. He even has his gun in like his official art in the game, yet he uses a bow just like Pit.
Exactly.
So don't tell me you're trying to stay true to the character when you're not being true to other characters.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with Smash foils. I mean, I tend to like them just because they're a different skin. So, like, for example, with Fox, I like going Falco because he played, or Wolf in Brawl, where he played similar, but he looked better in my eyes. I don't have a problem when it comes to that, but eventually I would like to see what happened with, say, Sheik or Zero Suit Samus, where they become their own unique kits, and they play differently than the other one. Otherwise, you're going to have players complaining about it. I think the same complaint was made about Mewtwo and Lucario to some extent.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Smash Brothers, I feel, handles clone characters better than other games. Especially because the differences between Lucario and Mewtwo are kind of big in that Lucario is a heavy physical character, whereas Mewtwo is kind of a lighter psychic special attack character. But you also have Wolf, who was more aggressive. When he did his side B, instead of going straight to the side, he would elevate and swipe at the end of his attack. Falco would kick his deflector instead of Fox that just uses it with him.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're being good with clone characters. So I mean, I don't know why sometimes they have to mess it up like that. And at the same time, it's like if you're going, the thing that kills me is like, and this is the argument I always bring up, is that people go like, yeah, so Ridley is too big. If you see him in the brawl stages, because he is in like Subspace Emissary, he's huge because he's fighting the ship that you're on. But in the intro to Melee, when Samus breaks through the wall in the intro cinematic, and she's fighting Ridley,
he seemed like normal size.
Yeah, he's about her size, maybe a little bigger, just the same way that Bowser's a little bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the argument that you can make, I mean, you can shrink him down, and yes, it does remove kind of the intimidation factor for him, but here's the thing. He looked just fine in that Melee intro. And so I'm a little skeptical on the fact that he would not work. I mean, after all, if you look at Ganondorf, who is a copy of Captain Falcon, he's slightly bigger than Captain Falcon. And
he's also slower. Like,
he's slower, and it doesn't feel like he doesn't have a purple Falcon punch. Okay, he has his own unique abilities that fit to Ganondorf.
You know,
Yeah,
he
Melee,
does
he
have a
had the purple Falcon punch.
Well, I never saw it as that. I mean, because it never. I never saw the full-on animation where it looked like a falcon.
Oh yeah, he doesn't do that. His Falcon punch is a little different in that as soon as you activate it, you can turn around and it does more damage. So it is unique in that sense, but it's still a Falcon punch.
Yeah. So then at that point, I mean, some of these clones, I agree with you, Aldo, where they are clones as far as kits are concerned, but they look aesthetically different that it's pleasing. So Dr. Mario isn't Mario, even though instead of like fireballs, he's just throwing pills.
Yeah, and there are specific mechanics that make them different. Like the pills do hit harder, even though they travel less. But the thing you could do for Ridley, if you're so worried about him being big and intimidating, make that his final smash. Just the same way that Ganondorf has his giant Ganon Bull Rush, that thing that he does. Give that to Ridley, where he becomes Meta Ridley, and he increases in size like 3 times, and you use him for like 5 seconds to swipe around the stage. Do that.
Yeah.
I mean, Jigglypuff grows to size like 10 times bigger than herself. I don't think she does that in the video games at all. Or even in the
Not
anime.
really.
No.
Not unless it was like that episode in the anime where there were all those giant Pokemon that were emerged from the statues.
No, it was just
And then there was like the giant Jigglypuff with like the microphone that was the bell, and it was going like Jigglypuff.
No.
I was
can't
too
go there.
perfect.
I'm kind of glad you brought up that idea, because that was kind of mine, Aldo, where you just do a final smash where either he becomes Meta Ridley, or even better, like, you know, if you want to make him big and intimidating, have him call his buddy Kraid in and just shoot crap at everybody. I mean, that's really, or you can have him turn into Meta Ridley and just blow fire on the stage.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Give him Lucario's final smash from Brawl. That disappeared.
Very nice. So yeah, Alex, what are your thoughts on the justifications that they're making with not having Ridley as a playable character? Because, of course, like the Shadow Blazer is, he likes to hang out in the shadows and observe.
Well, you know, I've never played Metroid. Crucify me if you must. I don't know much about a lot of game development. I don't know if it's technical limitations or what. I guess software makes important points, but it sounds like you guys have made plenty of justification as to how you can make it work. So I imagine next generation we'll probably see Ridley.
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm saying I'm willing to accept it this time.
Yeah.
Next gen, you make it work.
Off topic for a moment, but does anybody remember the first Super Smash Brothers commercial with all the Nintendo mascots marching merrily through the field of flowers and they start beating each other up?
Yep.
Me and you and me. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Alternatively, it would depend on whether or not they decide to actually make another Metroid game. If not Ridley, if they make another Metroid game with a recognizable villain, that could be an alternate way to get more representation for the Metroid universe.
That's another thought that I'd had is, you know, you technically, like, if you wanted to bring back the Prime base, you could have done Dark Samus and made her play a little bit differently, except I think that they did the Zero Suit kit instead. But if you actually tried to create a villain that is a little bit more relatable and down to size, then you can do that.
Yeah, that's why the closest thing we've got so far is SAX, that basically the clone that emerged from the X virus.
Yes.
Off the top of my head, that would be one villain they could consider, but even then, you would have another clone.
I like the idea. I like the idea of using like Dark Samus and even going the Bowser Jr. route, where her alternate skins are the enemies from Metroid Prime Hunters.
That could be too. I didn't think about that. Or even bring in the Metroid Prime 3 other bounty hunters. You could do that.
Yeah, or even bringing in some of the Marines from Other M. I mean, yeah, people are still divided about that, but that could also be an option. But then again, then people would just be saying, "Oh, just put in Master Chief. You know you want to."
Or they could just
get over it.
Just
get over
it. They could just bring in emotionally traumatized Samus from Other M, and she just stands in the middle of the field.
No, I want to see some more Sonic representation. I want to see Knuckles. I want to see Tails. I want to see Amy. I want to see Big. Look at. Okay, maybe not Big.
Hey, when they get a good game again, they'll be back.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we don't want to end up with another Sonic the Fighter, so.
Or Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. Oh, crap.
Oh.
That taste is back in Alex's mouth.
I wonder how the 3DS game fared. I haven't
don't
seen any reviews on that.
I guess the question. Well, I think Pro Jared has a review. I've yet to watch it though.
No,
As
it's.
far as I know, reviews for the
Rise of Lyric.
3DS game have been pretty mixed. Some are saying it's decent, it's a little better than the Wii U. Others saying
Okay.
it's just as bad. So it's pretty mixed, but it's not exactly more favorable either.
Which is kind of funny because I remember back at E3, people were saying the Wii U title will look better than the 3DS.
Yeah, that was kind of the pattern they had with the previous games. Like Lost World, that was the case where the Wii U version was better than the 3DS version because, like, although some levels in the 3DS version were pretty fun, they had like the scaled down cutscenes that had like all that interlacing alias stuff, and then it was just like you had like trimmed down levels, whereas the Wii U version was better. So I'm guessing people were kind of expecting history to repeat itself. It was the same case with Sonic Generations, where the console versions were more comprehensive, whereas the 3DS version of Generations was basically just all the 2D Sonic stages.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's at least my guess. All right. Well, I think we've discussed Ridley a little bit, and let's go ahead and get into the next story. So this one actually kind of caught my eye because I had never heard that this guy was going to do this.
I heard about this
apparently-
a couple years ago, actually.
I don't remember hearing it, but it wouldn't surprise me that I didn't. So apparently, a level developer on Little Big Planet 2 basically made the claim that he was going to recreate all of Final Fantasy VII on Little Big Planet 2. Like all the storied cutscenes, all the at least as much of the dialogue as he could, bring the music in, and he apparently succeeded. He just barely recently put up the level of this remake in Little Big Planet form, and it is gorgeous. I mean, I am not one of those people that tends to praise Final Fantasy VII that much these days. I still like it, but this Little Big Planet representation of it was so cool.
I think one thing to clear up is that you said it was a level developer. It's actually just a fan using.
Oh, just a fan.
Yeah, just a fan using all the tools that are provided in the game.
That's what I was trying to do, like one of the level developing community kind of thing, where you're making custom levels. Yeah. So I love it, especially since it's got the actual music put in, and I'll admit, the little Sackboy versions of Cloud and Sephiroth were absolutely cute, and I loved it. They even tried to recreate the intro, which that is just absolutely awesome. And I praise geeks everywhere who try to do stuff like this. It's absolutely great. What are you guys' thoughts on it? Did you actually watch the video that was put up in the article as well?
Yeah, I watched the video. I liked it. I don't think he actually implemented the battle system, unless he did.
No.
He didn't. Right? It all just kind of plays out like an interactive movie, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I liked it. Very, very nice. It's very cute. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm actually probably gonna pop in my Little Big Planet 2 and try to track it down because it's worth it. Yeah.
I might even do that too. Like I have Little Big Planet 2 here. I don't have the original. But this, if there was ever anything that could get me excited for Little Big Planet 3, it's stuff like this. And in fact, one of the things that I actually encourage Media Molecule to do, work out the deals with Square Enix so that you can put these models in the game.
Well, Media Molecule isn't doing Little Big Planet 3 anymore.
Oh, they're not? Okay.
No,
well,
that's
disappointing.
But they do have a lot of deals. Like there is a lot of character costumes that you can buy for your Sackboy. Like the one that comes to mind right off the bat is the Metal Gear Solid pack they did, and you could dress up as Old Snake and Young Snake and Meryl and a whole bunch of other characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually pretty cool.
And these are the ones that I messed around with a little bit in Little Big Planet. Alex can state this when we actually made our playthrough of it. I was Old Snake just because I could. So, and I love it when when you have a game that has this level of customization, do it. You know, I get that some people would have problems with the licensing, but that's why you work it out with the developers. I'm sure Square Enix wouldn't mind it because it's publicity for them.
Yeah.
Or even better, you know, like, let's just say you know, I can't even believe I'm bringing up Ubisoft after that article. You want to advertise the latest Assassin's Creed game? Let me have an Altair robe in Little Big Planet 3. Just do it.
I think they did, actually. I think they had an Assassin's robe.
For 3?
Oh, not for 3, but for 2.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go look that up.
I think a lot of that transfers over. They have I'm looking at their DLC shop, and they're still coming out with more and more stuff.
The DLC that I got with the game was just Metal Gear and I think Toy Story.
Yeah.
So obviously I went with Metal Gear because, well, why not? You know?
Right. If you get a chance, oh my gosh, they have a mariachi costume. Yes.
Or you could go Alex's. I remember when Alex was playing, he had to make the little Harry Potter costume.
That's adorable.
And then he made a little tuxedo.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Harry Potter with the top hat.
They have tons of Disney stuff. Anyways, no, what I'm saying is they got the history with it, and I think a lot of the stuff is transferable from 1 to 2 to 3.
Very nice. That's the way it should be. Because here's the bottom line. That was the biggest concern that I had going from 1 to 2, is that I wanted to have the old Snake model, and I wanted to have all the other stuff that I had unlocked. And if you can just carry it over from 1 to 2 to 3, that is even better. Go make me a little Iron Man one, and I'll do it.
Though the one thing I don't know is that if it'll transfer over to the PS4 if you have your stuff on the PS3.
It probably will.
Yeah, I don't see why that would be so much of a problem.
No.
But it could be.
No, I wouldn't think it's that much of a problem since the Vita, the PS3, and the PS4 are interconnected. I'm actually a little surprised since I've stated I actually have all 3 systems in my house now. They integrate fairly well with each other, so I'm not concerned with it. I think they will. So Romney, I've noticed that you've gotten a little quiet on this. Is that just because you don't like Little Big Planet, or you don't like Final Fantasy VII?
I don't have a PlayStation 3 or 4, so I have never played any of the Little Big Planet games. So
basically, that translates into you're a hater?
No, I'm not necessarily a hater. It's just kind of a case of I got nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, I figured.
Welcome to my world, Romney. That's me most of the time on the show.
You just like hanging out in the shadows. You like doing that.
I can turn off my lights and actually be in the shadows.
Yeah, well, at least I have a creepy dog to hide behind. So.
Romney, did you just become Shadow Romney?
Yeah.
Shadow Romney 3000.
Exactly.
I'm 1500. I'm the Lester model.
All right, and with that, let's go ahead and get into the last story of this hour, and then we've actually got a new unique feature that we're adding to this since we're in podcast format at this given moment. So this one I thought people would appreciate because I think it was earlier this year we reported on the whole Best Buy Xbox One problem that occurred, and it was glorious. Well, apparently we can do it with PS4s too. So
not anymore.
Not anymore. It's been fixed. But so apparently people actually walked in. Walmart has a deal where if you can find a cheaper deal online, then they'll match it. And so people actually tried to craft Amazon pages that had a PS4 for $90.
Well, some people even went as low as 60.
Yes.
I've heard as low as 50 as well.
Yeah.
Some even went that low. And Walmart, since they looked at it and it's a legit Amazon page, at least to them, they had to meet it. And they, where I thought Walmart would kind of go, I don't think Amazon's going to do that because they're probably put under the same restrictions that we have. They actually met them. And there were a couple of PS4s apparently bought at $90.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's all because of one legality in their kind of deal. That was anything sold on Amazon. They would price match anything sold on Amazon, to which they changed it so that it says anything sold by Amazon. So it has to come from Amazon official seller
Yes,
store.
instead of like a third party.
Cool,
So
that's
that's kind of their
loophole, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny, but that's just, it's a dick move. That really, it's a dick move.
It is, but again, it's just one of those things where, yes, the Xbox One whole debacle was Best Buy. That was their website that did it.
Yeah.
And so at that point, there's something to answer for. But you have to wonder if like Walmart corporate is now just kind of sitting there going, all right, do we blame Bill in marketing because he did this stupid little loophole so well?
Or alternatively, it's like, do we blame the 70-year-old employees we hire who aren't familiar with Amazon?
Exactly. Well,
or maybe we should pay that 19-year-old kid that does know Amazon a little bit more than minimum wage, so maybe he cares a little bit more.
Or even better, like,
on this.
why don't you go pay that Reddit user to kind of fortify the web page?
See, that's my thought on this is, like, if anybody knew that there's no way the PlayStation 4 would be selling that much, they just don't care because they're not paid to care.
Yeah.
The thing that blows my mind on this whole story is, okay, they went to or at least the way that I understand the story in some cases, they went to the electronics department to do this. And I don't know about you guys, the last time I walked into any Walmart, like the last couple of times, it's run by fairly young people.
Oh, yeah.
So all of them should know what the price is, and they should all know the guideline. So it's amazing to me that they just looked at this Amazon page and went, yeah, it's totally legit.
But like I said, they're not paid enough to care, so they just, whatever.
Yeah,
that must be it.
It's sabotage.
Oh my gosh, it's sabotage. I'm telling y'all, it's sabotage.
But yeah, I guess Walmart has something to answer for now with Sony, because I'm sure Sony's not happy about that.
No.
Well, it's probably Walmart because Walmart had to pay for it.
Sony will get over it.
Yeah, that's true. And they've, as Aldo has pointed out, they've worked it out. They've fixed the loophole. It can't be done. You have to go off the official Amazon pricing, not third party. There you go.
So, confession time. Would any of you have exploited this if you could have?
I would have, yeah. I would have felt guilty, and I wouldn't have taken it out of the box for a month, but I would have.
I probably would have done it too.
We all probably would have done it. I mean, a console that has no backwards compatibility and a bunch of features we don't really want. $90 versus $400. I mean, yeah.
And the fact that the library is non-existent still at this point.
Yeah.
It would have been my telltale heart.
Yes, it would have been that guilty thing.
Yeah, except instead of a beating heart, you just have a whirring disk drive.
Right. Just hear it.
Yeah, if it was an Xbox One, you would just have like the Kinect staring at you with guilt.
Well,
not with guilt.
To answer your question, Alex, would I take advantage of it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, well, that would be such a big thing for me to debate because I know it'd be wrong. Would I exploit it if the Walmart employees just said go ahead? Probably, because then at that point it's not that I'm being totally ignorant, it's also that the Walmart employees being ignorant. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Karma has a way of making that kind of loop around, so I'm kind of wondering if maybe the ones that did get bought instantly yellow lighted of death.
My question is, when you price match, what personal information do you have to give? And if you do give any personal information, are you now red listed on their system?
Was this through like the website, or was this in store? I guess
this was in store. They walked into the store with the link.
Yeah, because in store you don't have to give any personal information to price match.
Nope.
Oh, never mind.
No, but I can guarantee you now they're gonna refigure that out. They're gonna decide.
Yeah, there's probably gonna be some phone calls to be made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I could really see this kind of bouncing up in their face, but they're gonna fix it because it's Walmart. They don't want to have this happen again, especially near Black Friday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because
can you
that's going to
imagine
be
how
worse
horrible
for
this
them.
would have been on Black Friday weekend?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That would have
That's
been
the bullet on that one.
awful.
Bring your baseball bats, because that's exactly what would have to happen.
Baseball bats, chain whips, riot shields.
Nice.
Come prepared to siege.
Exactly.
Tear gas.
So let's go ahead and get into the last kind of feature of this hour, so to speak. I'm still using the terms hour just because we're used to being part of a radio station kind of agenda. But one of the features that I wanted to add, since now we're on Hangouts and we can have a little bit more time, now we don't have to worry about ads, at least for the moment, is what are we currently playing? We're geeks. We've got passion. We've got games that we're playing right now. We got movies that we're watching. We got series that we're watching. And so I'm sure a lot of people would like to be able to say, oh, yeah, well, I'm watching that too, and I have kind of the same viewpoint. So I'm just going to kind of throw it out there. What have people been playing over this last week? And let's go ahead and start with the Shadow Blazer.
Okay.
Because he had a taste to work out of his mouth.
Yes, I did. As far as playing, I gave up on Sonic Boom for the Wii U because I got so bored. I just said, whatever, put it back in the case.
I'm sorry. I have to clarify this. You did not give up on it. Since he was borrowing my Wii U, he basically went to his sister, my wife, and just said, take it. Just take it home. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I traded it into Amazon for a little store credit.
Yes.
So
it's probably worth
playing. That was about it. I haven't picked it up anything else yet. I haven't gotten Alpha Sapphire like I'd like. I'm hoping to possibly win one because I'm in a few YouTube contests that shamelessly say, "Hey, click on my channel, click like and comment, and maybe you can win a free copy." I doubt I'll win, but I gotta try.
Yeah.
So.
But at this point, I'm just kind of surprised. I'm not entirely surprised because you're getting ready for Black Friday. So for all I know, you were just kind of you were huddling in your room, just like I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I gotta get an anime on or something like that. But at the same time,
plenty of anime though.
What was that?
I'm watching plenty of anime. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as your little tag says, you're the anime enthusiast.
Yes, I am.
And the representative for all things Xenomorph.
I just realized that now that we're in podcast format, we could probably talk more anime.
We probably could. Oh my gosh. Aldo, so what have you been playing this week?
So like I was telling you guys before we started the show, I've recently jumped on playing some old Wii games. I started playing Muramasa the Demon Blade. Because I haven't played that since launch. As well as Disney Infinity 2.0. I've kind of just been playing with a level creator on that. And just kind of waiting for a copy of Digimon All-Stars Rumble Arena so I could review that.
I actually do have that game now. I forgot. I've been playing that one. I'm sorry. I kind of forgot.
Which one? The Digimon?
Yeah, the Digimon Rumble Arena. I have that now.
So basically, it's Digimon Smash Brothers.
Yep.
Yeah. But hey, it works, so I can't complain.
Compared to the broken mess that you had to play previously?
Yes.
All right. And so, aside from that, have you been able to play anything else major, Aldo?
Not really. I'm kind of waiting to pick up Pokemon. I'll be picking that up later.
The remakes, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby.
Yeah, well, one of the two, not both. So I'll definitely be picking those up. Apart from like major stuff, not really. Not really.
Okay. All right, and then Romney, what have you been playing currently?
Well, I kind of got a trifecta of like stuff I've been into. As for playing, I've been going through Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, and the first thing I'd like to say is these puzzles are hard. I mean, jeez.
I've seen your Facebook comments, man. It's awesome. I really I want a full-on review after this because I'm still debating whether or not to buy it.
Well, so far I've been enjoying it. I've had some problems story-wise when it came to kind of trying to bring both Phoenix and the Professor together as a team. But then again, I haven't been able to play in any solid sittings. I've just been having to play in quick bursts on my way to and from work. And that's pretty much it in that case. So that's what I've been playing. What I've been reading, I've got a few things that I've kind of got suggestions.
All right.
Like one that I've been following for a while is Disappearance of Nagato Yuki-chan. It's a charming little series, especially if you're a fan of the Haruhi Suzumiya stuff. My recommendation is that if you're going to read this series, though, watch The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya first. Otherwise, the series is not going to make any sense to you whatsoever.
That's
so that's the first. Yeah, so that's the first thing there. Next one that I kind of picked up on a whim is called Food Wars, Shokugeki no Soma. I kind of skimmed through it. I haven't kind of read through it in its entirety, but it's basically a cooking shonen manga. I kind of picked it up because it reminded me a little bit of Iron Walk John, and it looks pretty promising. I'm gonna give it a chance, see if I maybe want to follow the series from here on. It's a Shonen Jump series, so pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
And the last one I've got is The Terrible and Wonderful Reasons Why I Run, which is by The Oatmeal. And The Oatmeal, he's a blogger, he runs a website, draws some very weird stuff. So I have his previous book, the How to Tell If Your Cat is Trying to Kill You. And so, good stuff.
Very nice. I like that. I love the title. How you can tell your cat is trying to kill you.
This is what it looks like. It's called How to Tell If Your Cat is Plotting to Kill You.
I picked up a pretty weird book myself this week. It's How to Survive a Sharknado. I found this The Sharknadoes, it's like every weird possible disaster that could ever happen to you. Be it real or imaginary.
Oh,
yep.
Man.
As for what I've been watching, and my camera just died, so give me a sec to bring it back up.
Well, hold off on the watching, because we're actually going to do this again for the next segment. So
okay, then.
We'll get that to the other end. So I'm trying to still keep this as separated into tech and entertainment as I can. But once we get a little bit further on in this format, maybe we'll try and stretch out a little bit. So let's go ahead and get into the entertainment agenda here, which we didn't have a whole lot to talk about, but we still had a couple of silly stories to go into. So let's go ahead and get into the first story here, guys. That is that apparently there's going to be a live-action Attack on Titan? Really?
Yes, really.
Which I find hilarious.
That's old news, man. You're kind of late to the party.
Yeah, come on, dude, get on with it.
I'm late to everything Attack on Titan. I
don't watch Attack on Titan either, and I knew about this movie.
Oh my gosh.
It's been in development hell for quite a bit. So the fact that they're getting publicity images out now means that they're actually making progress. Plus, there was also that Subaru commercial that had the live-action CGI Titans going after a Subaru.
Gosh, yes.
I'd heard about that, yeah. And then I'm trying to remember who actually did it, but there was an animated short on YouTube of what was it? It was like Attack on Otaku Titan or something like that, where it's just the Titan is a giant otaku.
Yeah. People have done a lot of versions. There's Attack on Moe. There's Attack on Vocaloid. The list goes on and on. I mean, there was even that art gallery where the artist behind Attack on Titan decided to redraw a lot of the scenes of the Titans eating people, but instead of the Titans eating people, they're just eating various Japanese fast food. It was part of an art gallery, and they even had bus ads.
Though I do have to say one of my favorite comparisons has been the fact that the Attack of the Five Armies poster looked remarkably similar to the Attack on Titan poster art as well.
Really?
If you look at it's because of the anime, it has the protagonist Eren Yeager with his back standing right in front of you, and he's looking at the wall, and above the wall is the Titan or whatever. In the Attack of the Five Armies, the Battle of the Five Armies, I call it Attack, but it's Battle. It's
I don't think it matters at this point, Aldo.
Right. What's his name? Sword Shield, whatever guy. Not Sword Shield.
Thorin Oakenshield.
Yeah, Thorin Oakenshield is standing with his back, staring at the front, and I think there's something going on. I can't remember what it was.
And then we have
probably
the
something with
actual
Smaug.
picture from Romney here.
Yeah, mainly because I'm going to try to kind of guess which character is which, because it may be confusing to some people. So here we've got an image of who I'm assuming is Eren Yeager.
Yes.
Yes.
And then here I'm guessing this is Armin Arler, just guessing by the mannerism, by the expressions on his face.
That's kind of my guess.
The link I saw was from Kotaku, and they actually had the name of the actors as well as the characters.
Yeah. And then, no idea who this character is, because again, I stopped watching after episode 13 or so.
Oh, that's Tanji.
Okay. This one's obvious, because the red scarf is a dead giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
You mean dead as in everybody dies?
Spoiler alert, Aldo. Seriously. I don't even know if he's spoiling. This is one of those things where I might actually have to... I was originally not going to pick up Attack on Titan just because I've heard it's just absolutely depressing. Maybe it'll have to make the agenda at some point.
So Romney, if you can get on the Facebooks, I've actually sent you that I'm trying to send you that picture of the Hobbit and
doing it live.
Give me 1 second.
Speaking of which, people, support Tab for a Cause. Every time you open a tab, you get donate money to charity. That's your product placement from Romney for the week.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, overall, it looks good to me. It's just, I wish I could say something about these images since I don't know jack about Attack on Titan. It's difficult to do so. I just didn't think it was this big a thing. I mean, this feels as big to me like as Death Note was back in the day.
I mean, they've got the video game that they're hoping to be released in the U.S. And again, there's the crossover, the live-action short. There's even rumors of an American company wanting to do a live-action adaptation.
Which I hope not. I honestly hope they just go the Death Note.
Well, to be honest, I can kind of see a Western live-action adaptation of Attack on Titan working, because you at least have characters that can look like other nationalities and not have it be weird.
Yes.
That's the main difference between Attack on Titan and Akira. So you can actually see an anglicized actor playing Eren Yeager or Armin Arler. You'd have to have an Asian playing Mikasa Ackerman, but at least it at least makes more sense, a little bit more believable.
So my biggest problem that I have, if you guys know me, you guys know I avoid the comment section because I just facepalm. And I did the mistake of reading the comments from the Attack on Titan announcements. And there was a lot of people going like, "Oh my gosh, if they're gonna do it, they need to do it right with the right nationalities and give them wigs and blah blah blah." And I'm just like, yeah, you could do that, or you could let I don't know, a cast of Japanese people not look ridiculous in wigs.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue there. I mean, I get why they're saying that, but that's one of those things that I would kind of leave up to creative liberty if you got the right director for it.
So if you watch Romney's screen, that's the Hobbit and the Attack on Titan posters.
My God, Aldo was right.
Oh my gosh! Oh, they are similar. Oh, this hurts.
They're really small, so it's kind of hard to see them.
Oh,
that's the best I could get it because of the way my webcam thingy is working. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are similar.
Yeah.
Oh, this hurts. Yeah,
but then again, this is kind of like a thing for debate. I mean, this isn't the first time we have like protagonist and off in the looming distance facing away from the viewer. I mean, this is a common movie poster trope. I mean, there's even a Tumblr post analyzing all the common tropes in movie posters that have done stuff like this. So, really, I can see the similarities, but it's not necessarily that one inspired the other. It's just a common poster trope.
Oh yeah, and the fact that they're both hot properties just kind of raises awareness of it, and it looks like something. It just looks like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's against them or anything like that. I think this is going to be a worthwhile campaign, especially if Attack on Titan is this popular. I think it'll work just fine.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get the 3DS game. I hear that some sort of developer here in the U.S., probably Atlas, is working to get it released in Australia. So hopefully we'll be getting Wings of Humanity here in the U.S. So who knows?
There is a fantastic online, not a Flash game, but it is just a browser
It's a Unity.
game.
It runs on Unity. I've played that one.
Yeah.
And yeah.
If you haven't played it recently, I do recommend going back and taking another look at it because they keep updating it regularly, and there's some it's gotten really good.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next story here. And I actually want somebody to volunteer who actually did this because I don't remember who.
This was also me.
So, first of all, really? This is happening?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So let me get people up to speed here. Apparently, there's a 2015 Dragon Ball Z film happening, and it's starring Frieza.
Not necessarily starring. It just means that Frieza is coming back.
But Frieza's come back before.
Frieza went away? That's all I can ask.
Well, Frieza was killed in the Trunks saga, or at least like kind of at the start of the Android saga, when Frieza came to Earth to try to wreak havoc on planet Earth.
Yeah, but if I know Dragon Ball, people die, then they come back.
But then again, Frieza did also come back when they unleashed, they literally unleashed hell on Earth.
Well, that was GT. That doesn't count.
That was actually what I was going to bring up, because GT, they brought Cell and Frieza back.
For like an episode.
But at that point, and even then, like in the Buu saga, I believe like when Piccolo died, he went to hell and actually had to fight all the villains that had previously died. So he was fighting against Frieza, he was fighting against Cell, and all of them. And I may have the saga wrong that happened, but I could have sworn that happened to him.
Yeah, but another thing to keep in mind is if you look at the poster, you'll notice that Beerus from Battle of the Gods is actually in the poster, meaning that he probably plays some sort of role in it.
That was the question that I was going to have. Why is he there?
Well, he is the God of Destruction, and anybody who's seen Battle of Gods knows that they can't necessarily kill the God of Destruction, and so I'm thinking they probably bring him in as some sort of side character to kind of explain what was going on with Frieza being brought back, because I know the basic premise is that two henchmen from Frieza's army managed to gather all the Dragon Balls and basically wish for Frieza to be brought back to life. Thus why Frieza comes back. And so, given that Beerus initially wanted to fight Frieza since Frieza was the most powerful being in the universe, something similar is probably why he comes back to Earth. That's my guess.
I love the fact you brought that up, because, yes, they make that claim, and then in Cooler we find out that there was something more powerful than Frieza. And then we find out that Cell was probably more powerful than Frieza.
Well, then again, Cell was made from Frieza, so I mean, he does have that.
But I just love the whole concept that his brother was more powerful than he was.
Well, I think at one point, and sadly, I think it's from GT, because sadly that's the last series I saw, so my memories are most fresh from that.
Yeah.
Sadly. I think there was a part where where Goku and Vegeta are talking about their kids, and they're talking about how their kids are strong enough to single-handedly take down both Cell and Frieza and Boo.
No, what happened was entirely different. When the Supercell, or not Supercell, Super 17 saga happened, you actually had them challenge them.
Oh yeah.
So you actually had Goten come out and challenge Frieza. You had Gohan come out and challenge Cell.
Yeah, I just remember the segment from like the OVA that was like the 20th anniversary of Jump, where you have Avocado, and these are like Kid Goten and Kid Trunks, and then it's like, Tarble is just like, be careful, they're as strong as Frieza when they're combined, and then Goku's just like, oh yeah, Frieza, not an impressive villain, so this is a good fight for the kids.
Yeah, I was actually a little bit excited. I mean, I still like the Frieza saga to some extent. I'm just kind of surprised that they're doing this because, well, Aldo brought it up. Super 17 kind of ruined Frieza, as far as I'm concerned, and so I don't know if you could bring her, or I always call it her just because of the voice.
The voice they got in Kai, personally, I like the voice of Frieza they have in Kai because it matches the character a little bit more. Whereas whenever I heard the other previous voice of Frieza, I just kept hearing Genkai. Yeah.
That's kind of the issue. You're talking like Yu Yu Hakusho Genkai?
Yeah, because it was the same voice actress. And that's why they had to change voice actors, because of the way they changed it for Dragon Ball Kai, the mouth flops were moving a lot more quickly, and so the voice actors couldn't maintain the voice and keep up, so they just brought in a different voice actor. And I kind of like that voice better. The Frieza's personality just comes out a little bit better with the new voice.
No, I mean, if this is legit and this actually comes out to theaters and all that, I'd go see it. Just because of the nostalgia that Frieza brings up.
Well, given how well Battle of the Gods did with its theatrical run here in the U.S., I'm pretty sure Funimation is going to try to bring it. But again, we're going to have to wait because Fox has initial offering rights. So basically, Fox has the opportunity to pick up the film for distribution first.
I thought it was Funimation.
Well, Funimation owns the rights to the anime, but because Fox bought the movie rights to Dragon Ball Z, they basically have initial offering rights for any movie distributions of the franchise. So this is specifically any theatrical release. If it's a television series, Funimation has the rights. But if it's a movie that's released in theaters in Japan, Fox has first-run rights on it. But it's kind of a case of they just have to wait until Fox passes on it, and then Funimation can dub it.
Though I do have to say one of my favorite. I'm reading the article again on here. One of my favorite things that kind of comes full circle is the title F. It's inspired by a song by a Japanese metal group called Maximum the Hormone. And if you ever saw Death Note, they do one of the intro songs.
Yes.
And it's a song they made about Frieza. And in fact, like half the chorus is just them yelling Frieza.
Which one is it?
Is
Out
it
of
the-
curiosity.
What's that?
Which one is it in Death Note that did it?
What do you mean?
Which is the opening in Death Note that the group did?
Is it the first one or is it the second one?
It's the second one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just thinking about hearing Aldo say like, "Oh, the chorus is them saying Frieza." I'm just reminded of Team Force, like the whole Frieza, Frieza, Frieza.
That's the song. Except that is the song.
At least it's better than I've actually heard people do like a one-winged angel with Frieza.
Oh
It's
my
like
gosh.
no, it doesn't work.
I will later give you guys the link to the video or the song. Anyways,
Okay.
but that was just I've liked that song for years because I've known about that album or that particular B-side song for like a couple years at this point. And the fact that he's saying that, yeah, I heard it. I'm like, yeah, my little otaku heart just grew 3 sizes.
Well, this actually might be one of those. If they actually do a movie run, Romney, we might have to cover it. We might have to do a review of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing watching Battle of Gods in the theaters. I definitely hope Funimation decides to bring I'm not going to even try to pronounce the title yet. I definitely hope they bring this film to theaters because Funimation met with a lot of success bringing some of the anime films into theaters. They're hoping that they can probably try to compete with some of the stuff and actually not have it as limited engagements, but who knows?
Well, I think
This is mine at this point.
Well, the other thing was that Toriyama also said that if the reception to Battle of the Gods was big enough, he would consider doing more. And the fact that he's coming out with another movie, like him specifically, doing the designs and doing the story and all these things, kind of makes me feel that we're going to get more DVD content that we do want, as opposed to GT.
Well,
Yeah,
it just depends, because I think he burns himself out fairly easy, doesn't he, on this stuff? That's why he doesn't stick with it that long?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of why he's doing only movies and not a full-on series, because the reason he stopped doing Dragon Ball Z in the first place was just that he couldn't keep up with the demand and couldn't keep up with the deadlines at Shonen Jump. And so it was that's why the ending is so abrupt, is that it's just a case of, well, I can't keep doing this. Even when you notice how his art style changes over the course of the Dragon Ball manga, it got to him.
Yeah. So with that said, let's go ahead and actually get to the next story here, because we've now talked about something that we all dedicatedly love, and now we have to talk about something absolutely silly. So people, I'm sure Romney has heard of this, and I'm sure Alex and Aldo have as well.
Oh,
But-
this is the first I've heard of this.
Oh, really?
For me as well.
Really?
Yeah, no, same here.
Okay,
So
when you say the headline, you'll just have to cut to a reaction of my face.
So yeah, and we will. We totally will. So here's basically the gist of it. So for a long time now, Highlander has been trying to get a reboot. All right, a bunch of directors have signed up for it. In fact, at one point, Ryan Reynolds had signed up to be Connor McLeod, and that no longer is there. But apparently somebody else got the rights, and they got the most, I'm not going to beat around the bush, facepalm-worthy person to play the Sean Connery character, And that is, are you ready, Romney?
Yes.
Tom Cruise as Sean Connery's character. Yeah, that's. I think that pretty much envisions.
Okay. Okay, let me just start with my main problem with Ramirez as a character.
Main problem.
My main problem. You have Sean Connery, a Scottish actor, pretending to be an Egyptian who's pretending to be a Spaniard.
And a Frenchman.
That makes no sense. I mean, yeah, Sean Connery, good actor, enjoyable actor, but why?
No, I understand.
And now you've got an anglicized actor playing an Egyptian, pretending to be a Spaniard. I mean,
And a Frenchman.
just gah.
Dude,
I mean, come on, get Antonio Banderas as Ramirez. Antonio Banderas would be a much better Ramirez.
Well, I mean, here's the bottom line. I don't think they should be doing this reboot, but they're going to do it anyway. Yeah, Banderas would be probably the best way to go with that. But, I mean, one of the things that makes Ramirez kind of a funny character, at least to me, is that he's from so many cultures because he's immortal. And you had this Scottish guy playing an Egyptian. And it makes absolutely no sense. But, hey, he's had to live with a couple of dozen cultures, so it's viable. But
yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I really love the Highlander movie. I was excited when they were going to make the Highlander video game that's supposed to tie into this upcoming reboot. And so it's just, and thinking of Tom Cruise, he just doesn't have the kind of acting chops to really convince us as an audience that he can play the sort of mentor role. They tried that a little bit in Mission Impossible 3, and it didn't really work. That's why they had the character he effectively mentored only have a bit of a montage before she died off within the first 10 minutes of the film.
Well, the other problem also, and here's where I kind of get into my rant here. First of all, why Tom Cruise? He's not a mentor yet. He doesn't even look remotely like he could be one. He's still kind of that leading guy. So why even go this direction? And what in your wildest imagination made you think, possessed you to think Tom Cruise could meet anywhere close to the acting bravado that is Sean Connery?
Well, I think acting bravado might be giving Connery a little too much credit.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like this is one of the few roles where Connery is kind of bombastic, as far as I am concerned. Like I think he took this role and he kind of ran with it and hammed it up as much as he could from the first film. Second film, let's not even go there because
let's not even mention the quickening. Just stop right there.
No, we're not even going there.
Do not mention Zeist. Do not mention Zeist.
Well, you just did. I wasn't going to. Exactly. Why did you do it, Romney? We're trying to keep that out.
It's like Fight Club. By trying to not talk about it, you end up talking about it.
Exactly. That's the problem.
You just lost the game.
Yes, we did. So at that point, I get, why you wanted to get Tom Cruise because he draws money at this point, but I'm sorry. What possessed you to think he could play the mentor role? If you put him as Connor, I could understand that concept. Why is Ramirez? Why? It makes absolutely.
I don't think Tom Cruise is even that much of a draw anymore because Edge of Tomorrow did not do that well at the box office.
Yeah, he's not that much of a draw. I mean, the last two movies I can think of that he was in, or last three, so that would be Edge of Tomorrow, Oblivion, and maybe Jack Reacher. I don't think any of them did that well.
No, they didn't, and especially with just a lot of the tabloid stuff more or less affecting his career. I mean, a lot of people think, oh yeah, the stuff in the tabloid shouldn't affect a celebrity's career, but unfortunately, it does. I mean, look at Mel Gibson and how he's never recovered, even though Robert Downey Jr. is trying to throw him a bone.
But then again, critically, Edge of Tomorrow did very well. Even if
it was a good film. I enjoyed it, but it's still just a case of why Tom Cruise? I mean, I'm guessing they're probably going for shock casting or just trying to get a big name associated with the film.
Well, let me just put this out here, and I think Romney would agree with me on this. If this Ramirez is anywhere near a couch, I'm talking anywhere near, 1 inch to a couch, I'm done. I'm walking out. I'm done. I'm not going to have a recreation of Oprah because I know that they'll do it. I know they will.
I'm sorry. I just keep now picturing Tom Cruise like warping and ending up in the middle of the Globe Theater in the middle of a production of Hamlet. It's just not the same.
Okay, guys, I think I should kind of ease your fears a little bit because I've read the article a little bit, and based on the wording, I say this is not a definite. It sounds like Tom Cruise isn't even as far as being in talks for the role yet. He's currently busy filming Mission Impossible 5.
What? 5?
Yeah, 5. And 4 did well enough.
And does not appear to be interested in future projects. So
cool.
There's probably a good chance this isn't going to happen. It sounds like Tom Cruise isn't going to do it.
I mean, let's realistically look at this.
I wouldn't hit the panic button just yet.
Let's realistically look at this. Highlander, the reboot, has been out there for a couple of years. The people wanted to do it. There's not really a whole lot of call for it. I have not seen like a raving nostalgia movement for Highlander. That's why I think this continues to remain in development hell. So at that point, first of all, I still don't think this reboot's going to happen. I just don't.
At that point, but I think part of it is just the case of they're probably waiting for it to fall into enough obscurity that people who would be going to see the reboot won't know about any of the films that were put on the Sci-Fi Channel. And that's really the major thing, because when people think of Highlander, they're not really thinking of the original 80s film. They're thinking of, oh, that crappy film that was at Redbox that played once on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Exactly. That's kind of the issue there. So at this point, I still just don't think, maybe in 5 years from now, maybe we would get the reboot. But I do not see like major actors in this one getting tied. I really think that they would start as, like, in the Ramirez role, maybe. But Connor McLeod, you'd probably get somebody new.
Yeah, I know that was one thing they were specifically trying to find, is that they're specifically trying to find a lesser-known actor to play Connor McLeod.
Mainly because I don't have to pay him the big money.
Well, not just the big money, but it's kind of the same case with how initially Warner Brothers wanted Robert Redford to play Superman, but Richard Donner chose Christopher Reeve, because if they get a famous person, nobody's going to see Connor McLeod. They're just going to see, oh, it's like, say if they chose Brad Pitt as Connor McLeod, it's like, oh, it's not Connor McLeod, it's just Brad Pitt wearing a kilt.
And Romney just hurt my head. He hurt it really bad. He did, because Brad Pitt is Connor McLeod.
I know, that's just an example. I mean, really, to be honest, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, actors that are known enough that could probably do an okay job as Connor McLeod. I mean, it's kind of tied, like Bradley Cooper, maybe, Ewan McGregor, maybe, because he's actually Scottish.
But what about some of the more recent ones, like Chris Pratt is kind of getting out there because of Guardians?
No.
What you need is an actor that's kind of got that intensity. That was why they chose Christopher Lambert, is because he just has that intensity in his facial expressions. And we don't really have any actors that are able to match that kind of intensity. And so it's really hard to think of an actor who could pull it off.
Zac Efron.
No. Seamus, maybe. Seamus. I could probably see Seamus playing Connor McLeod. I mean, he could probably pull it off. But then again, that would just be an Irishman playing a Scotsman. People probably wouldn't respond well to that if they were to try to show the film.
No, they wouldn't. One of the ones that actually came to my mind was, and I don't think he fits, but I think he would actually try and out for the part, Liam Hemsworth. This might be one of those things where he'd look at as kind of a breakout role.
I
could see that.
Yeah.
He'd probably be able to pull it off.
I don't know if you'd cast him, but you'd at least try. You'd at least see how the waters fared, kind of thing. And I mean, here's the thing: Liam is trying to find that breakout role. He's sticking around to the Hunger Games just to get the paycheck. But I know, just from what I've seen of this actor, he's hungry, and he's looking for roles like this to stand out, because he wants to get in his brother's spotlight just as harsh, you know. So at that point, I could see him apping for it. I don't see him getting it, though.
Yeah, but he at least seems like a more reasonable choice, because he at least kind of has the kind of more serious look. Because the problem with Liam Hemsworth is that he's just made some really dumb movie choices. I mean, Paranoia was awful, and with the Hunger Games, he's only really hanging on to it because it keeps his name known to the public. Not so much the money, but it's just a case of, oh, people know him as Gale.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's pretty much the equivalent of Sam Jackson staying in the spotlight with the Avengers and continuing to do those roles just because he's known as Nick Fury, and that's the biggest thing. So at that point, it keeps Sam Jackson relevant, and this keeps Liam Hemsworth relevant. Because I agree with you. I mean, the only other one aside from Hunger Games that I've seen some of is Red Dawn, and oh boy, did Chris kind of outshine him on that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of the sad part of it. So, Alex, you're the one that kind of confirmed this. What are your thoughts on? Should they do a Highlander reboot? I mean, really?
No more reboots for a while, guys. We've had enough reboots.
One reboot. No, there can't. And Alex is just done there. He's like, no.
No, I've got a much more lame Highlander joke. It's like, there can be only Juan. No, there can only be Jose.
I love it. All right, so let's go ahead and well, actually, Aldo, your thoughts, because you haven't said enough on this. Do Highlander.
So here's where I drop a little nerd cred. I've actually never seen Highlander.
Oh no!
I haven't either.
I haven't seen Highlander, but I know it has a big enough fan following that there's no need to come out with a reboot, but definitely a proper sequel.
Well, the thing is, it's tough for a sequel because of the way the original Highlander ends, because the idea is that there can be only one, and at the end of the first Highlander, there is only one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of
the sequels are kind of pointless.
Yeah, and that's the problem with it. I mean, the television series at least fared a little bit better because it at least drew out the whole conflict with the Immortals, but then Highlander the Source.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I would know that had I watched it, but I haven't. So
yeah, so far the best Highlander film I've seen aside from the original would have to be Search for Vengeance. That's like the only other really good Highlander movie that I've seen.
Okay.
Well, let's actually just talk about this. So the Highlander brand is actually fairly consistent. I mean, we've got 4 or 5 movies at that point. We've got a TV series, which I think was actually more successful.
Yeah, I think it had 3 seasons actually.
Enough that they actually brought the TV actor into 3 and 4, I think.
Well, no, the only time that you had Duncan MacLeod and Connor MacLeod meet was specifically in Highlander Endgame.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and that film just isn't that good.
Oh, don't even go there. Don't even go there. But, you had that successful TV series, and then they actually even did a Highlander animated series. One that actually did get games.
Yeah.
So, we don't like bringing them up, but they existed. So at that point, I could see this happening but it has to be further down. I think you really do need to cater to a new generation, because the older generation is just going to go, oh, man, and you just got to start fresh. And the other thing is, leave it at one film. You got to there can be only one.
Either leave it at one film, or actually do a better job of setting up for a sequel. Instead of having Connor win the Gathering, you could just have it be where he thinks he's won, but then you realize, well, nothing's happening. And so
or if you absolutely must do a trilogy. The Gathering begins in part 1. Part 2, it heats up. Part 3 is the final confrontation, and there can be only one!
Yeah. Alternatively, and if I were the director of the reboot, here's how I would approach it if I were to make a film and then want to do sequels. Instead of trying to have the same MacLeod in each subsequent film, just have the Gathering in each film and just have it be a different descendant of the Clan MacLeod. That would be how I would do it. Where you have Connor in the first one, and then next one, a bunch of time has passed, so then you have Duncan, then more time has passed, and then you have Colin, and so on.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that would work a ton better. But yeah, so we've kind of hammered this into the ground, but now you have our thoughts on this absolutely stupid idea.
Yeah, again,
I'm still
Summit Entertainment, if you were watching this, get Banderas. Banderas would be a much better Ramirez.
He would, and you know what? He'd ham that crap up. You know he would.
Yeah.
He'd have absolutely every bit of fun.
I mean, if you look at how he did in Zorro, that's pretty much Ramirez. Ramirez is basically just an older Zorro, so he would be perfect for the role. So yeah, if anybody from Summit Entertainment is watching this very obscure podcast, consider giving Antonio Banderas' agents a call.
Yeah. Oh, also don't forget him in Incredibles. Not Incredibles. In
Shrek.
No, what is that? The Stallone movie, the '80s thing.
Expendables.
Expendables.
I didn't even know he was in it.
Yeah, in Expendables 3, is it 3? Yeah. Yes.
Okay, if he's in 3, then that would make sense.
He's in it. He's really funny. He's actually really spry still for his age, and that kind of plays a lot into his character. But yeah, he'd be good.
Yep. So let's go ahead and get into the last story of the segment here, which is I really tried to avoid this talking point. I really didn't want to bring it here, but there was actually a geek-related reason to do so, and I just kind of went, dang it, I don't want to have to talk about this. So I'm gonna try and stay off of this as much as I can, because part of me is just hoping that the allegations are not true. So for people who have been following stories this week, Bill Cosby has had a woman come out and state allegations to him of sexual assaults in previous years. At
this point, it's about 15 women.
Yeah, it's a big number, and where we haven't had them confirmed yet, obviously this puts a cloud of judgment towards Bill Cosby at this point.
Yeah,
which is sad because I like Bill Cosby. I still enjoy the stuff that he has done in his life, but it just so happens that because of all this, NBC and Netflix, I guess, were in negotiations with him to put out the Cosby Show on Netflix, which would have been one of the. I know it's one of the biggest things that gets requested, because people loved it when they put up Full House and
no, it's not the Cosby Show. It's the new TV show that he was going to come out with.
Oh, okay. So it was a new show entirely.
Yeah, it was a completely new show. I think NBC canceled the contract for 3 episodes. They canceled it up to 3 episodes. And Netflix just said that they won't take those episodes at all, or they won't even fund the series at all.
Yeah, basically, we're having the South Park response of "I'm not touching this with a 50-foot pole," because we can't even trust if these allegations are true or not. They are big allegations. This is kind of the equivalent of like Bryan Singer when he had the allegations come out and he got yanked from the press tour for X-Men. So, but here's the thing. Brian is still the director of Apocalypse. So why on earth that's going on? And it's one of those things where I really hope that this isn't true, but at the same time I feel bad for Bill because he's gotten this negative light cast on him really quickly. Yeah. And nobody else has any thoughts on the matter?
Well,
it's a sticky issue. Hold on a sec. It's a bit of a... I had to change the camera. My battery died, so...
Oh, no!
It's a bit of a sticky issue. I can kind of understand why Netflix is trying to avoid trying to kind of limit the exposure with Cosby, because they know that there's probably going to be a lot of people complaining, calling into Netflix, saying, oh, why are you supporting this monster on your service? And so it's just kind of simple, the company just trying to say, okay, we're just going to step away. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to basically approach this. We're, again, like you said, it's the whole, I ain't touching this with a 20-foot pole.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the sad part about this is, even though Bill has got the cred that he has, when this comes up, nobody's willing to deal with it at all.
Because there's nothing worse than 50,000 Tumblr justice
Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, Cosby meme, it's just...
Seriously, I mean, the last time I kept up with this was a couple of days ago. There's 15 accusations against him.
Yeah. Well, Raven Simone did come out and say that any claims that were made on her behalf are completely false. So...
There was a claim made by Raven?
No, not by
Raven. Some people were claiming on Raven's behalf.
Yeah. And she had to come out and say that nothing happened. And that he was absolutely a dear sweetheart on the set and whatever.
Oh my gosh! I mean, this is just sad. I mean, I still like Bill for the comedy contributions that he's done, and it's just sad that this is where it goes. Drives me nuts.
I've never cared much for Cosby. I didn't grow up with the show, and I've never watched his comedy specials. But I do understand the impact that he's had, especially with a lot of people. And I do think I get the situation, and I get where everybody's coming from in that as a company, you don't want to be seen as the guy that, if he does come out guilty, you don't want to be seen as the company that supported the rapist.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, if he comes out innocent, you're gonna look at that. You're gonna be looked at as that company that didn't stick to their guns or whatever.
Yeah, which is gonna kind of bounce back if that's the case. But if there are 15 accusers, that's not looking good.
Yeah, it's just kind of a case of they're basically going the way of a politician, where it's just kind of try to distance yourself, try to make no comment, try to call no attention, and hopefully you'll come out somewhat unscathed. That's the general approach a lot of these companies seem to be taking.
Yeah. So, unfortunately there isn't a whole lot to talk on this story, and I did want to kind of broach it, but I didn't want to dwell on it too much, just because it's one of those things where it's not really geek-related, aside from if you're like a diehard Bill Cosby fan, but I did want to kind of put it out there because the Netflix story is kind of or NBC and Netflix, it's a big thing that they canceled his upcoming series just because of all this stuff going on. So there we go. We covered it. You've kind of got our opinions on the matter, and we can say we did that. So let's actually go ahead and get into the next kind of portion, which is what have we been watching? I actually wanted to kind of put in what have we been reading on this one, but Romney kind of beat me to it. So at that point, what movies have we been watching? What TV have we been watching that has just been absolutely awesome for us? And then also, like, if there are any comics that are just blowing your minds at this moment. And then I actually just barely realized I actually forgot to say what I was playing in the previous segment. So let me go ahead and go into it, and it's not that hard. World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor. It's not that hard. It's really not. It's one of those things where now I kind of understand why people wanted to get me into things like Farmville. And I never did, because this game has officially started that in me. Good. The best way to explain it, Aldo has played Tor. So one of the features that this game has actually put in has been kind of similar to... You remember how the professions worked in Tor?
Vaguely, yes.
Where you had to send your followers out on errands and stuff like that. So this is kind of the system that they've implemented, and holy crap, it's micromanagement on a whole other level.
Wow.
And so at that point, I can understand now why people got so hooked on Farmville, and now I understand even better why I never did. And it drives me nuts. I played a couple of other games in the meantime, though, but that really is kind of the big standing point of what I've been playing all week is World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor. So there you go. Blizzard fans, rejoice! If you guys are out there. So Aldo, let's go ahead and start with you. What have you been watching? What has been tickling your geek fancy here?
Oh my gosh, do you want the spreadsheet?
I'm gonna get it anyway, so might as well.
Oh man, it's in the realm of anime. So I'm actually in the middle of editing a YouTube video of my first impressions of the fall season, where I went through and watched every single first episode that I could.
Okay.
Of anime. And so at this point, I'm kind of sticking with like 4 or 3 of them. I think a little bit more. But I've been watching a series called Cross Angie, which is a mature title. Which is like sci-fi magic, and people are being segregated, and the people that have been segregated against have to fight multi-dimensional dragons.
Okay.
So just same business as usual.
Yeah. There's another one I'm watching called I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying, which is a 3-minute TV
This is the
short
one
show.
that you recommended to Alex, right?
Yes, that is the one, and I love every possible moment of it. All
right.
I've also been watching Trinity 7, which is another kind of harem, we do magic, and we're in school anime.
Oh, no. Okay.
So basically, throw all these series in a blender and hope something good comes out.
Yeah,
Dude,
there's
the
also...
harem is everywhere now.
What?
I mean, the harem is everywhere now.
Yeah,
It's always been.
Yeah.
it has, though. Since the early 90s, I think one of my favorite series of all time was essentially a harem, which was, I think it was the harem of its time, which was Love Hina.
Although kind of the
don't bring
precursor
that one up.
to the harem genre, more or less, was Tenchi Muyo when you really think
Yeah.
about it. But that
Yes.
one was it wasn't intended to be a harem series. It just kind of became one as they introduced these other characters, as they were kind of adding these characters to the story, because it was only going to be Tenchi and Ryoko, but then they added Ayeka, then they added Washu, then they added Mihoshi, then they added Kiyone. Then,
Yeah, and even then, some of these characters I remember hearing in the development, some of them were actually male, and because the female characters were doing so well, they just decided to make them female.
Yeah.
Just to make people resonate with them a little bit more.
And probably sell more merchandise.
Exactly. So aside from that, what else have you been watching, Aldo?
Oh, I'm not done with my spreadsheet. I'm just kidding. When supernatural battles became commonplace, which is also another really cute kind of high school. We have superpowers type of anime. And the last one was another one called Your Lie in April, which is a little romance anime about a kid who plays the piano and his mother dies, and all of a sudden he can't hear the piano music anymore. So when he plays the piano, he can't hear the notes properly. So that was really cute. But so I've been watching a lot of that anime. There's also stuff like Parasite and Terraformers that I've been watching. But I'm trying to catch up on Arrow, so I can catch up on season 3 of Arrow, and so I can catch up on The Flash.
All right. And you're liking it all so far?
Oh yeah, so the Arrow was one of those shows where I always told people that once you get past the first 5 episodes, it just gets better and better and better, and every single episode it just gets progressively better and better and just better. And it's gotten to the point where it has these crossovers with Flash, and where they've introduced so many characters and they've brought in enough lore from the comics to please the fans, but enough originality to it that it's not obvious what's going to happen next. So it kind of keeps you on your toes, and this has been a fantastic series, and that just keeps getting better and better alongside Flash.
Yeah, I'll admit I've been recommended over and over, excuse me, to watch Arrow and to watch The Flash. I just haven't gotten to it yet, and Arrow's really kind of a tough sell for me, just because I know you've said it that this is not the same Green Arrow that I've hated. This is a different kind. But again, it's the stigma that Green Arrow kind of leaves that bad taste in my mouth is really that, and lack of time is why I haven't picked up Arrow yet. But
yeah,
it's on the list.
I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much now because the seasons are long, and they're 40-minute long episodes. Each season has 20-something episodes, so it's quite an undertaking to catch up with it if you haven't caught up with it. So I was lucky enough that I started watching it when it came out, and I've enjoyed it since. But I haven't even been trying to watch Gotham. I caught a couple episodes of it, and I wasn't impressed. And everybody I meet is just like, "This is great." I'm like, no.
No, and I've had the opposite reaction. Everybody that I've talked to has said, no, it's not worth it.
Also, as far as kind of syndicated TV, I've also been watching The Legend of Korra, which has moved to online only with Nickelodeon. Though they have started releasing commercials that they're gonna start showing it on TV.
Good. Okay.
But
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, but the premieres are gonna stay online.
Okay. All right, Alex. What have you been watching, and what have you been getting your geek on with?
Okay. Well, as far as anime, I've been following a few series of the fall season. One is Ronya the Robber's Daughter. This is the really unique collaboration between Studio Ghibli and Polygon Pictures. So the primary animation is handled by Polygon. Ghibli's there as a support. Goro Miyazaki is directing and storyboarding throughout the series. And the series, of course, is all done CGI animation. So it's very different as far as your typical anime is going to go. It's, of course, based off the novels by Astrid Lindgren. I think that's how you say her name. She's the author of Pippi Longstocking. Overall, so far, I'm like 5 episodes in. Falling a little behind, but I'll catch up. But it's very enjoyable. I mean, I can't speak to the accuracy of the source material, but I've been enjoying it. I've never read the books or anything, but it's cute. Very great for young kids. It's definitely kind of a kid's show, leaning towards that audience, but it's enjoyable. I'm kind of repeating myself, but that's kind of what I have to say, because it's been taking sort of its time to kind of get going, kind of get into the adventure aspects, but now we're finally getting into that. Ronia's finally going out and exploring the world around her, going into the forest. That's that series. Okay, the next series I'm watching is a bit of a weird one called Selector Spread Recross. And this is actually the second season I'm following. The first season began way back in April. And what can I say? It's halfway through. I still don't know what the hell's going on. It is a mind-bendingly weird series. It's kind of this. It's a card game anime. So it's kind of you could almost say it's in the vein of Yu-Gi-Oh, but at the same time it'd be like if you sort of the Monica Magica answer. This is the way I want to kind of call it. Is the Monica Magica answer to Yu-Gi-Oh. You take a card game anime, you suddenly just make it darker and edgier. But I'm not trying to call it a rip-off by any means. It has some things that you might find similar, but overall it's its own thing. It's unique.
Well, does that have someone who screws the rules because he has money?
Yeah, kind of. There is kind of the screw the rules. I have money kind of character.
No. The big question that we need to ask here is very simple. I'm going to pull this card out, but before I play it, I'm going to tell you my entire dark backstory. I was born on Story Night on December 17th.
Surprisingly, there's actually very little of that. There's very little padding, which is kind of both refreshing but disappointing at the same time, if you can believe that. On the one hand, it's refreshing that we don't have to spend 30 episodes in one single card battle, but many times the card games get cut short, which is kind of disappointing, because the action scenes are pretty cool. If you've ever seen an anime called Black Rock Shooter or Angelic Layer, the battles are quite similar to those. So I guess this is all a sort of a cross-promotion by Takara Tame Corporation, because they made an actual card game called this. The rules are ridiculously complicated, and I don't know what the hell it's all about. Oh well, I'll stick it out to the end. I've come this far. Okay.
What anime that needs to happen is Magic the Gathering, the anime.
Oh, just wait.
It would depend on whether you're going to base it on the card game or on the lore of the card game. I mean, if you're going to take like the novels that cover the adventures of Gerard Caption, I could kind of see that as a series, but I don't know.
Yeah.
How about Romney? Follow me on here. You get a kid that's playing the card game, and he magically gets sucked into the lore of Magic the Gathering, and him alongside 5 other beautiful ladies have to find and destroy the main opponent in the Magic realm.
So basically, you're looking at Chaotic, except as a harem series.
Yes.
Well, technically, what you just proposed, Aldo, is actually a PC game. So, except for the 5 girls, there actually is a story where somebody got pulled into the world of magic. So I don't know if you can do that, and it would stick.
Oh yeah, the 5 girls thing, that's more like Tenchi Muyo War on Geminar, so...
All right, any other stuff that you were able to cover, Alex? Or
a couple more. Third anime of the lineup is called Yona of the Dawn. This has now been picked up by Funimation. Great. It's also on Crunchyroll. The story basically is a princess. She's madly in love with this guy. I'm going to leave out some of the other details. But she's madly in love with this guy. But of course, this guy decides to actually murder her father, the king, and in order to usurp the throne under his claims that her father killed his father. So he's good because she witnessed this crime. Was told to be executed, but her bodyguard manages to whisk her away, get her out of danger, and pretty much now she's in exile. So the series is still ongoing. It's still like maybe 6 episodes in, and it's kind of a slow building one, but the whole premise is going to be she's going to gather allies to take back her kingdom. I've been enjoying that one really.
Okay.
So, a lot of great action, a lot of great everything. Fun series. And finally, when I can, I try and catch episodes of Sonic Boom, the cartoon, not the game, but the cartoon from Uedo
Silly
Production.
Alex, you don't get up at 5 a.m.
I don't get up at 5 a.m., so I have to find other means to watch this series.
Yeah.
They're short episodes, but they're enjoyable. I love the comedy. I love the cheesy humor. Takes me back to my days of watching Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So, absolutely.
And for that, we have to kick you off the podcast now.
Is it?
You like that series?
So you're saying it's actually a fairly good series? Cause...
It is a good series.
Okay.
I can vouch for it. He showed me the first 2 episodes, and they were good. There's enough seriousness to the story, and also enough hilarity that it's not. It's almost kind of a bridging between the two, like Sad AM and Adventures. It kind of is, in my opinion, Adventures done right.
Okay, so for me, who kind of knows the bare basics of Sonic, I know that Knuckles is a tough guy, Sonic is like a witty guy, and Tails is the nerd essentially of the group. Is that still intact? Are their personalities still
yeah.
It's more added upon, in my opinion, because Knuckles is kind of an egotist in this. So
Knuckles is actually rather stupid.
He kind of is, but he's also kind of self-absorbed. He thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, that's always kind of how Knuckles has been. It's just, again...
Yeah, but this time it's hammed up. It's not, like, absolutely serious. And so that's one of the reasons why I like it. The only complaint that I would have, and it's minor, is Amy, and that's just because, like when we were talking originally, the unveiling, the look of her actually kind of stated that she would step aside from the obsessive girlfriend kind of role, and that's exactly what they did with her. I mean, the best example, if people watch the new Looney Tunes stuff that came out on Cartoon Network a couple of years ago, a modernized Looney Tunes, that's kind of what they did with Lola, where she was just very obsessive, and you could only do so much with it. It would have actually been funny if Amy wasn't pursuing Sonic.
Yeah,
there's kind of a Sally angle there.
It's still pretty clear that Amy is in love with Sonic. In fact, there's a whole little bit in one episode where Tails makes sort of a translator bot, but it so happens that the bot is actually literally translating everybody's speech. Basically, their thoughts are hidden in their speech, and the bot ends up speaking that aloud. And of course, there's this great little bit that the robot's ready to say, I can't let Sonic really know I'm in love with, and Amy shuts it off right at the last second.
Okay, that's great.
Amy's still clearly crushing on Sonic, but I don't think it's quite as heavy as the adventure games.
Okay, because I was playing Adventure 2, I think. You just kind of got on my nerves.
Oh yeah.
I gotta say, I've never had a problem with Amy Rose ever. I've never had a problem with her. I've never had a problem with her being in love with Sonic. It makes sense for her character. I think it's great. I hope future games can finally give her character a little more to do. That's why that's the one aspect I liked about Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric is you can play her and her character plays fairly decent.
My complaint with her adventure isn't so much that she's in love with Sonic, is the fact that she's a little airheaded when I feel that she should be not so airheaded.
Yeah.
But how
is she any worse than Princess Peach, really? I've always felt, compared to Princess Peach, I think Amy's a lot more proactive.
I don't think it's that problem, Alex. I think it's that Amy, where Peach is very much that stereotype and really can't step outside of it. Amy gives potential to grow out of it, and she never moves past that.
But at some iterations, they tried that. I know, like in the Dark Brotherhood, they tried kind of giving more facets to Amy's personality, but even then, it was kind of a case that there was only so much they could really do.
Yeah,
and it's especially evident in Sonic Adventure 1, where they have her doing they have her doing what they can with you trying to outrun that robot. But I've got to admit, I facepalmed in the Twinkle Parts segment because I'm just like, you're outrunning this robot, you're going to Sonic for help.
Yes.
It's like, oh, let's go to Twinkle Park, and I'm just like,
All right, and so we're actually kind of running out of time here. So let's go ahead and go into Romney. What have you been watching? What have you been reading? Well, you've already gone into what you've been reading.
Well, not all of it, but most of it.
He has a spreadsheet.
Well, not necessarily a spreadsheet, because again, I've been kind of all over the place reading wise, because with my new job, it's kind of a case of just doing stuff on the bus rides home. So the only other thing I've been reading aside from the stuff I've pulled out is that I've been trying to make my way through JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. It's the only one that has an official release here in the US, although I'm really, really excited for the Volume 1 of Phantom Blood that is finally coming out here in the US in February. And so that's one thing I've been going through. As for what I've been watching, I haven't had a lot of time to really watch any television or anything. I mean, I've been trying to get back into the swing of things, trying to resume my Star Blazers vlogs. And I have been meaning to watch Bee and Puppy Cat, because I know that's kind of the big thing on YouTube right now is Bee and Puppy Cat. And I liked the original short that they did. Mm-hmm. So that's one I've been meaning to get into. What I watched most recently, and it's going to actually be an episode of Ronnie's Reviews, mainly because I didn't want to review the Hunger Games this week, is that I actually took a look at the Shinji Aramaki version of Space Pirate Captain Harlock.
No.
Nice.
And I can see why James Cameron liked it, but to kind of give a brief idea of what I thought of it, I couldn't follow it. I got lost. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Matsumoto universe, so there's probably a lot I didn't understand.
Harlock is also kind of vast, so that's also kind of a problem.
Yeah, it's just as a film, it has a lot of cool stuff to look at, but that's kind of where it begins and ends. A lot of cool stuff to look at, but not much else. Like, there's no real substance to the story. The main character we're following isn't really much of a character. His motivations are lousy. And to be honest, although Shinji Aramaki is good at animating adult characters and making it look good, when it comes to children, you're just looking straight into the uncanny valley.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like Harlock did not sell you.
Well, yeah, like this particular Shinji Aramaki movie, I mainly looked at it because James Cameron went all gaga over it, and so I was kind of curious, well, if it made James Cameron excited. But then when I watched it, it was just a case of, and I was watching the English dub, it was just a case, it looks good, but there's no real substance. It just felt like I was like thrown into the middle of a story, even though there hasn't been a major Harlock thing in years, and this was supposed to be kind of like introducing people to Harlock. It was just a case of, it was just all pretty stuff, no real substance, and just the characters were just badly written.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've kind of heard about Harlock is when it comes to the manga, it's really well done, at least from what people have told me. And with anime and other interpretations of Harlock, it's really pick and go kind of thing. There's one that's really good, but there's three that are horrible and don't get what Harlock, or they don't get the character of Captain Harlock at all.
Yeah, hopefully, if Shinji Aramaki decides to do another Matsumoto property, actually, I kind of hope he doesn't try to do another Matsumoto property, because it's just the way he handled Harlock. I'd be very afraid of how he would handle Galaxy Express 3.9. So
yeah,
he should probably just stick with Appleseed, because that's where he kind of shines that more harsher, more grittier sci-fi stuff. But something that's supposed to be vast and imaginative, like the works of Leiji Matsumoto, it's just not a good fit.
Okay.
I mean, the animation looks gorgeous. The animation looks gorgeous. The visuals look gorgeous. He just needs to find a better screenwriter, I'm guessing.
Romney, I don't think you mentioned it, but just out of curiosity, what's kind of if you could just give me like a quick review. How was Princess Kaguya?
Oh yeah, Tales of Princess Kaguya. I enjoyed it. I heavily enjoyed it. The animation looked gorgeous, and a lot of people. I've kind of gotten some flack in the review because the problem on Movie Pilot is that nobody watches the video. They just read the articles and assume it's the full review and just. But Tales of Princess
like other sites.
Yeah, just with the Tale of Princess Kaguya, I heavily enjoyed it. I mean, it's kind of it takes the style of a sumi-e painting, and Takahata just really is good with the medium. And it's not even just a case where it's like all just like an ink brush painting. He establishes that that's what it looks like, and then at moments of the film he gets really creative with it. Like, so you first have like these really serene looking lines, but then when Kaguya's emotions just get all over the place, everything gets all jagged, it gets all chaotic, and it's going like barely maintaining any semblance of form, but it matches what's going on in the story. It matches the emotions the character are feeling. So really, it's a very well animated film. It's just a shame that it didn't do that well in Japan, because critically it did well, but financially it just didn't do that well financially, which is kind of why Studio Ghibli is kind of suspending from doing features now, which is really disappointing. And
yeah,
it's also
I'm not happy with that decision. I think it's going to end up being kind of the downfall of Ghibli, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and it's a real shame. It really is, but there's not really much else that can really be said, because animation is just caught in this really awkward place. I mean, yeah, more and more American films are being distributed worldwide, which is putting some effect on it, but I think Hayao Miyazaki put it best. Otaku effectively have ruined the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, to some extent.
I definitely have to agree, especially when you consider what the Japanese otaku is compared to like what the American otaku is. They definitely have ruined it, and they don't want creative. They don't want this. They want kind of the same way that the same way that Americans don't want a fancy $50 meal. They want kind of fast food. They want quick food. And that's kind of what they want.
It's not even just that. Like back when I was studying animation at Slick, I would talk to a lot of these people who were getting into animation because they're anime fans, and it's the same basic problem. They don't observe how real people actually move and behave.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of the case of they have these animation students in the storyboarding class. They come up with these pitches, but their storytelling skills are just terrible. Like, I mean, for example, they were like saying, "Oh yeah, we're into like stuff like Sherlock or Supernatural." I'm just like, are you actually serious about going into storyboarding? Then you need to watch some of these films like The Godfather, Citizen Kane, Lawrence of Arabia. But all these people are just like, "Oh yeah, we only watch like Sherlock. Oh, we only watch this anime." And I'm just like, these are the people who want to get into the industry.
You need to be able to deliver a beginning, a middle, and end. And the problem with stuff like Sherlock and Supernatural is that it goes on way too long.
And not to mention, it's also just a case of not being willing to actually look at image composition, how to actually compose your image to reinforce your narrative. That's just something that's really lacking. And a lot of those animation students at Slick are probably going to want to tear me apart for saying this, but they're just not that good at creating any animated features. I mean, some of them have potential as artists, but they're not good at telling a story. It's just really frustrating, because I would be trying to develop this. We had a group project, for example, where we were basically trying to make a version of the Pied Piper, and I'd be trying to like explain, okay, well, here's how we can do it like this way, kind of approaching it the way you would developing a film. But then you get just some resistance that just isn't really justified. Like, for example, you take an example from Throne of Blood, where you see the demolished castle in the opening of the film, and saying like the story is about the downfall of this castle. And they're just like, "Oh, we don't want to do that. It just gives away the end." I'm just like, we're trying to set the scene. This is supposed to be like a, I don't know. Now I'm just going on a tirade. So
yeah, I understand.
I do kind of need to cut you off, Romney, just because we've actually kind of hit our 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
So, we kind of need to wrap things up. And
I'm sleepy. That's why I'm going on a tirade.
Exactly. Well, and on top of that, the best thing about it is that we haven't talked what I've watched, and this is really easy because it's really nothing. The most that I have watched has been, given that The Wind Rises just barely came out this week, and I've been watching that pretty much consistently.
You definitely will like Tales of Princess Kaguya then.
Okay.
Did you guys watch Big Hero 6 finally?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we saw
We
it.
loved it, and I wish we had the time to talk about it, but dude, we absolutely loved it, and oh man, I wanted to kind of ooze about this, but we are over time, and yeah, we absolutely loved it. We even, like, when we were coming home from the film, we were actually kind of comparing it to Interstellar and saying, all right, you know, which would we recommend, which one did we enjoy more, kind of thing, and it really kind of came down to a 50-50 thing, if I remember, Alex.
Yeah, I
We
said
both liked
basically, I said depends on what you're in the mood for, and depends on what kind of films you probably like. And if you really want to go for the artistic and intellectual type of film, absolutely go see Interstellar. You won't be disappointed there. If you want something to kick back and relax with, if you want something to enjoy, yeah, go see Big Hero 6, especially if you have kids or if you have a family. Perfect. Either way, you're probably not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, all I need to say on this, Aldo and Romney, just so you kind of get where I'm at with it, is very simple. After that, I went to Comixology and I downloaded the first comic. I'm that interested in this universe, because I'd never heard of it.
Comic?
I'd never heard of it, honestly.
Do you know which writer? Because there's been several interpretations of it.
I don't know any of that. I was actually kind of surprised that the way that they introduced Big Hero 6 was actually via Alpha Flight. I mean, seriously.
Okay, you went that far back.
No, I'm not far at all. I mean,
okay.
I've seen the story here. I've read maybe a few pages. Unfortunately, it was really late when I got it. But that's what this film did. It made me literally look into the origin stories and everything like that. So, and I'm just craving a sequel. It is so awesome.
I would recommend, if you want a good read, it's like a 6 or 7 issue miniseries by Chris Claremont. And it has the cast as you, well, not exactly as you see in the movie, but it has a similar enough cast. Like, one of the differences being that in the comic book, Fred is an actual shapeshifter. He turns into the lizard thing. It's not a costume.
Right.
And that Baymax is like a giant metal robot mech bodyguard that follows him around rather than that.
Yeah. So I'll look into it.
He actually feels like he feels like a young Tony Stark rather than how he is in the movie.
Yeah, that's what, or at least that's what I've kind of gotten from the research that I've done on the series. That Hero is kind of like a little Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to read into it, and I'm just begging for a sequel. And I really wish we could go into it more, but we're out of time at this point, and people got to go to bed. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. If people want to get a hold of us or give us feedback on our thoughts on the stories that we covered or anything like that, how do they do that? Starting with our favorite sprinter in this regard. Romney, go ahead.
All right. You can always find me on YouTube at youtube.com/StudioPhantasma. That's Phantasma with an F. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Romney'sReviews, no apostrophe. You can also find me on MoviePilot at moviepilot.com/ROMNE. And if you want to ask me questions directly, I'll do my best to answer them unless they're completely stupid. You can do so at spring.me/AskRomney.
And I just realized I don't have a watch on my wrist. I have not been timing Romney this entire time.
I realized that Romney talked so fast that his lips were still moving when he was done talking.
He lagged his webcam. That's how fast he goes.
Well, who knows? Maybe I'll become the next Micro Machine Man.
We should. All right, Aldo, how can people get a hold of you?
People can find me on my website at boardoffline.net, as well as youtube.com/boardoffline, as well as Board Offline Gaming, as well as Anime Overdub ES, in which me and a couple buddies just sit down and watch some anime and talk crap.
Hopefully you'll bring me in on one of those.
Yeah, we're starting our 2015 season after January, after the snow. So that'll happen. You can also find me on Twitter at Aldo531 if you want to just send me a shout out or whatever. That'd be cool.
All right, and Alex the Shadow Blazer, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, of course, my name is ShadowBlazer3000. That is my YouTube username, where I talk mostly about anime. I'll be launching a very special project soon, so stay tuned for that. You can find me at Twitter. My name is Alex J. Short there. That's my handle. You can find me at Facebook. Again, my name is Alex Short. Look me up. If you're an anime fan like me, you can find me at myanimelist.net/ShadowAlex, capital S, capital A, all strung together.
All right, and then if people want to get a hold of me, I am your host, Adam Mickelson. You can do so the following ways. You can go to youtube.com/drac2326, and it is right below me, right there, so you can see how it is spelled. That is where Geek News is hosted right now, so if you want to go see previous episodes, you can do that. We have a full-on archive, and we will get it up. I've been actually working my butt off in spare hours to get that stuff up, even if I can only get the audio only, at least for the moment, and then I'll get the video camera footage up, but it will get there. You can also go to Twitter under the exact same username, Drac2326, and contact me there. You can also see Let's Plays and things like that I have on the channel also. If you want to contact the show directly, there are 3 ways to do it. You can go to geekyweek@gmail.com. Once again, that is geekyweek@gmail.com. And leave us feedback on the show, stories you'd like to see us cover, or your feedback on the stories we did cover. You can also go to Twitter and go to geekynrp. And yes, Aldo, I know. Why at you? I know. geekynrp, and follow us there. You can also go to Facebook and look up Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions and like it, and then you will get recent live updates on when we're going to be going live. I think right now we're set in this time slot, so Saturday nights at 10 p.m. That would be 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so that way people knew. And then also, if people want to see like some extra stuff that we are doing, and what the crap is Aldo doing?
What are you doing?
That's my face judging you for that Twitter handle.
I will fix it one of these days. The other thing also is if people want to see some of us team up together, you can go to youtube.com/dracandshadow, where me and Alex actually do handle Let's Plays. And also, that's where, in a lot of cases, if people remember when we did the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, that's where our review went up. And I am actually very pleased to announce that our next one is going to be, because people have been asking, The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies will be our next one that we will be doing. So we will have that up when that comes out. But in the meantime, we are done for the evening. So for Alex, for Romney, and for Aldo, and for myself, we will see you guys next time for more Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions.